Okay, so I hope you had a nice break. The next talk, I have Lars with me again. We already had yesterday a nice talk together. And this time the talk is called Integration, Automation and Security. But the real title would be Features that are very interesting for enterprise customers. That was the original title. I don't know why it has been changed. So today it's about more high-end features that very professional users need, that have very large installations, that want to automate something and so on. So go ahead, Lars.
Okay. So hello again, and yeah, let's dive into the different areas of this this talk. When speaking with our enterprise customers, the large enterprises, in the last months, we talked a lot to them. We spoke about the most important topics they are having on their own roadmap. It's partially automation, because they have higher growing workloads, they have dynamic infrastructures which are growing more and more. So it needs more automation to be able to handle these things in dimensions. It's also about integrations. That's the second part of this talk. You mostly not only have one monitoring tool. You have one generic monitoring tool like Checkmk for your IT operations, but you also have a lot of specific, maybe application-specific tools for monitoring your database in depth, or your network, or your Kubernetes cluster, and so on. So we will talk about our plans with integrations. And the third part of the talk will be about security-related topics we want to talk about. Especially in the last month, the questions about security from all our customers, but also from large enterprises, have increased. We are speaking with them about a lot more details of the product security, using Checkmk in a secure way. Today we also had some workshop about setting up Checkmk in a secure way. And it's a very interesting topic for all users, but especially in the enterprises. Now, let's go through these topics one by one.
I think we shouldn't discriminate small enterprises because they exist. Sometimes we use the word enterprise and mean really large-scale installations. But I think it's a bit of discrimination from the very small enterprises, which really also work very professional and so on. So
and you just made professional or something like that, yeah?
Yeah, so sometimes when you say enterprise, we mean a large enterprise and simply drop out the word large.
Yeah,
so
okay. All right.
Don't get it wrong. We are talking about customers that maybe have 5,000, 10,000 hosts in the monitoring, even more. So. But many of these features are also interesting for smaller installations.
Obviously, yeah. And sure, everybody wants a secure system.
Yeah.
So
especially security is nothing
not only
about size,
about the enterprise, but okay. So let's go and look at these topics step by step. First, we look at the integrations. We called it here observability integrations, which also means monitoring integrations and so on. It's basically about connecting Checkmk with other systems which do a similar job. And if we think about integrations, we can think about two different types on a high level. The one type is the export use case from a Checkmk point of view. You have information in Checkmk which may be captured directly by Checkmk, and you export it to another system, like our Grafana integration, which is such an export integration. Grafana is using data from Checkmk. We have the other integrations, like the Datadog integration I will talk about in a minute, where data from other tools is imported into Checkmk for continuing to use these information in Checkmk as service, metric, and so on. So let's have a look at the different integrations we want to talk about now. Today, with the Checkmk 2.0, yesterday I showed you the current state. We have a lot of integrations already. Export integrations and import integrations. We have the Grafana integration for exporting data. We have the NTOP integration for getting data into Checkmk, an import integration. Then we have the Prometheus integration, which is also importing data from an upstream system. And we have the graphite carbon connection connector, which is able to send metrics from Checkmk to other systems. And now with Checkmk 2.1, we plan to extend this ecosystem, the support for external integrations, by adding some more integration by upgrading existing integrations. The InfluxDB connection will be upgraded. The Grafana integration will also have some upgrades. And we are working or have been working on a Datadog integration. And what we do here in the different integrations is something I want to show you now. For the Grafana integration, let's have a look at the history of this data source plugin, which is how this is called in Grafana. With the 1.6, we initially created this data source plugin. We have released it as extension for Grafana, which was only available for our enterprise users. With the 2.0, we have worked a little bit on the detail of this data source plugin, and we made this plugin available for all raw edition users. And with the 2.1, we also want to give it an upgrade. We want to, again, work in the details, work on bug fixing and so on, obviously, but we also want to modernize it. We will migrate this extension to the new Grafana API. And we also want to make it available in the Grafana store, which is good for the users because it makes the installation of this plugin easier. And new features may be or will be an improvement of the authentication mechanisms we use with our APIs, the support for annotations so that you can use annotations in your Checkmk graphs, but also the support of getting data out from Checkmk as annotations to Grafana, which you can customize according to your needs. And for the Grafana dashboards, it's interesting to support variables to make them flexible. That's something we may probably do. I think there's also some poll on that, how interesting it would be for you. So if you're interested in that, give us your vote. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you about the Grafana extension. Now let's have a look at the InfluxDB connector we are currently building. It was in the past, it was for a long time already possible from the microcore in the Enterprise Edition to send metrics to InfluxDB using the carbon connection, which is using an unreliable network protocol. It's UDP based. It's not the most modern API they are featuring. So there's the native API of InfluxDB, which is HTTPS based, which is using a reliable transport, a secure transport, but also supports transport of metadata with your metrics. So we have more information than we currently send to InfluxDB in Checkmk. And to help you working with this information from InfluxDB, we can add metadata to the metrics. What you see in the slide, in the screenshot, is some draft of a configuration dialog, how it can look like. So what you will be able to do is that you can configure for each of your sites where you want to send your metrics at. That's one part of the configuration. And the second part of the configuration is a rule set, a rule that you can configure to individually configure which metrics to export and which metadata to export with these metrics. So that you can individually tune your export how you need it. you may not want to export all Checkmk metrics to InfluxDB because that may be too much for your needs. It's also a question of performance. If you just need like 10 metrics in your InfluxDB and you forward 10,000 metrics to InfluxDB, it's a load that you don't need. So you can use this rule set to reduce the number of metrics to configure the metadata like you need it. And what you can export here is also what you can see in this screenshot. You can see that you will be able to transport labels, maybe state information, tags together with these metrics to InfluxDB. And once it's there, you can use your, for example, also Grafana to access that time series database and then build your dashboards or graphs out of these information, which are then in the InfluxDB. Okay, so that's for the InfluxDB. Now let's have a look at a new integration we are building or which we have built. It's an integration with the monitoring solution Datadog, which has been built with a very specific use case in mind. The use case here is similar to the one we had with Prometheus. You have one team which is working with that specific monitoring tool. And they are doing this because the tool, Datadog in this case, addresses exactly their needs. They are building some kind of cloud solution and they use a cloud monitoring tool to monitor it. And yeah, they monitor their systems that has been somehow grown independent of the rest of the organization in some application development team. And now you have the whole organization which is interested in seeing all monitoring data together. And that's the situation here. We have Checkmk run by the IT department. They are doing all the operating through Checkmk. They have the notification logic, escalations, alerting, reporting, and so on, all set up in Checkmk. And they don't want to have it separated. They want the information from this, in this situation, we can call it upstream tool, Datadog. They want to have information from there in Checkmk to be able to work with the data which comes out of Datadog, like they can work with every data they collect with Checkmk. And that's what our Datadog integration is doing. It feeds the data into Checkmk as services and metrics. And once it's there as services and metrics, you can do whatever you can do in Checkmk with services and metrics. So from that point, it's same as usual. And we also work with the events. What you may see on one of the next slides. Here you can see the configuration dialog we have. And if you have a look at the configuration dialog, you can see that there are some options to tune the connection. What you can configure here is that you can filter out elements you want to fetch from Datadog. You probably don't want all information, maybe not the information of test systems, but also productive systems. You can use some kind of tags, which are also available in Datadog, to filter the information from Datadog. And then you can configure which kind of information you want to process. We currently support in the first version the monitors, which is some kind of representing a state like a service in Checkmk. And we also process events from Datadog, which are then forwarded to the event console. And how you want to be to forward this can also be configured, which facility you want to set, which priority you want to set, service level, and so on can also be customized here. And here you can see a dashboard which has been built with the Datadog information we currently gather. The first element is a dashboard element which shows the list of monitors which have been fetched from Datadog. And the bottom element shows events in the event console that has been fetched from Datadog. So at this point, you see services and events. So that's for the Datadog integration. now we can go into the next topic, the automation part of the talk. And yesterday, when it came to automation, we mainly talked about the REST API. And today, that will be the same, basically. It's about extending the existing REST API and our plans with that. So our idea, or what is currently driving us in what we add to the REST API is automating setups of Checkmk. So if you want to deploy systems, today you often automate the setup of the system to some point, and then you're continuing setting up the system maybe manually. The simple step is to set up only the operating system, then maybe some company-specific customization, like putting security settings in place and so on. Then you may also automate setting up the setup of the application of Checkmk. You may automate the installation of Checkmk itself. You may also automate the checkup of the installation of the creation of the Checkmk site. This is normally done using automation tools like Ansible. And when it comes to that point, when you have set up your site and maybe also started it, now the REST API may come in handy, where you want to customize the configuration of your site. And yeah, we can currently do a lot of things. We can go a lot of steps currently with the current state in the 2.0, but we have some parts missing which are needed to be able to configure an automated Checkmk setup. And that's what we are planning for the extension of the REST API with the 2.1. One of the most important parts, the most important configuration mechanisms of Checkmk, the rule sets, are currently missing in the REST API. That is the case for technical reasons, because the rules and rule sets are very complex. If you look at the values of the different rule sets, there's a lot of different types of data structures and so on. And if you want to fully represent them as data structures which are understood by the API, that's a lot of work to do. And for us as Checkmk developers, especially a lot of internal restructuring to be able to represent the type of data structures and so on in the API calls. And that's what we want to do for the 2.1. We want to enable you to manage the rule sets. So you will be able to configure nearly every aspect of Checkmk, thresholds, and so on. And the second part is what is called here site management. It does not mean to create Checkmk sites automatically using the REST API. It means connecting remote sites, which already exist, to your central site. Because to be able to automate distributed setups or automate the setup of the central site, you need these API calls to add remote sites to your central Checkmk site. And an additional thing we are currently missing is some kind of helper which enables you as administrators who are mainly not, most of you don't develop software in their daily business. Most of you don't script on a daily basis. So working with the REST API is maybe not familiar to all of you. You can do this. You can also do this based on the programming, on the code examples our API documentation now offers. But even if you do this, you have to solve some problems which you maybe don't want to care about, like handling error cases of the HTTP protocol or something like that. If you write scripts, for example in Python, you mainly want to call functionality in Checkmk. You want to call a function which triggers a creation of a host, or which triggers a discovery or an activation of the core configuration. And that's what a Python client for the API could be a good solution for. The client libraries are solutions to put an abstraction layer on top of the REST API to offer you programming APIs on top of the REST API. So it makes it easier for you to work with the API for remote controlling or remote configuring Checkmk. And that's something we want to build for the 2.1. And there is already an existing one. It's built by Robert, who was yesterday with us in the fireside chat. Our partner Heinlein offers this extension or this module on GitHub. So if you don't want to wait for our solution we offer with the 2.1, then you can use this one, and yeah, maybe you can use this to build your automations until to the point where we come up with our solution. Okay, so these are the points for the automation. And now let's have a look at the security topics. Obviously, there are a lot of topics we could now talk about. But we wanted to talk about two very specific ones. And we would also like to get some input on one of them. So let's have a look at it. And the first point I want to talk about is the agent encryption we are planning. Thomas already talked about the encryption of the push agent we are planning to build. But also for the pull agent, an encryption is important. And today we offer an optional symmetric encryption, which you can configure. But it's not an encryption that is as good as it could be. Besides this optional symmetric encryption we offer in the agent, a lot of you are also securing the agent transport using SSH. But that's also some kind of customization that you have to make. And what we have in mind is that we offer a functionality that ensures or enables you to use a secure encryption, and we hope that we come to the point where we can offer it out of the box. But it is not as easy as it sounds, because we have to care about a key trade-off, the trade-off between reaching that level of security and finding the balance between that security and the usability. Because currently it's very easy to set up a Checkmk agent. On a Linux host, even if you're not using the agent bakery, it's just the installation of the agent package in its simplest case. Obviously, you want to configure or customize your agent, you want to enable the IP address filtering and so on. But if the initial setup, which is very easy, and that makes it easy also for new users to get started with Checkmk. And by improving the security, we don't want to break with that approach. So if we introduce default security in the transport of the agent data, and we want to do it in a way where it is as easy as possible. There may be one or two steps more than currently if you want to have this encryption, but maybe we find a good way which is not painful for you, which can be manually done and is not painful, and which can also be automated and is also integrating in your existing approaches. And we not only need to care about the initial deployment of the agent, we also need to care about the upgrade path, obviously. If you're a Checkmk user which is coming from the 2.0 and you upgrade to the 2.1, which now has some kind of default encryption, you don't want to break all your agents. You want to be compatible to the old agents, and you also want to have some migration path which enables you to update Checkmk to the new version, then maybe the agents, and then you can somehow make the transition seamlessly to the encrypted agent communication. And these are the hard things we have to care about. And yeah, the concepts for these things are currently built, and we will care about this in the next weeks. The second topic I wanted to talk about is some kind of security feature, some kind of comfort feature. It's about modern and central authentication solutions. Often they come in the form of questions about single sign-on, but they also come in the form of two-factor authentications for improved security, for example. And yeah, we receive a lot of questions about that, especially from enterprises which have these central authentication mechanisms in place. And the question is, how can Checkmk integrate into that? And even in the cloud, there is Azure Active Directory, which supports authentication mechanisms, which we at some point of time have to support. So with Checkmk 2.0, we talked about this yesterday. We have prepared Checkmk for supporting XAML authentication, and with this also the Azure Active Directory authentication. We will build a how-to in the forum. We have a thread about that. But from a product point of view, it's always the question, what is possible out of the box? For what kind of authentications do we have how-tos? And yeah, what is possible? Which products can be used, which protocols can be used, which specific, Windows-specific products can be used for authentication. So we have prepared a poll, which seems like putting some random stuff together, but these are the things which we are asked for. So maybe we get some good idea about these things from your answers. Yeah, so Matthias?
Okay, so let's launch the poll. And we have quite a big list of...
It's like more than 10 or like 10?
Yeah, it's I think 10 or 12 different. I don't know the half of them what they even mean. Things are not with Okta, things are not with ping. Ping, I know ping, but I think it's a different kind of ping, isn't it?
Ping identity, okay.
Ping identity, Google Cloud Identity. So what do you think we should support? What's the most important for you?
I bet it will be SAML.
That's what?
I bet it will be SAML.
It will be what?
SAML.
SAML?
S-A-M-L. Uppercase letters.
Well, what does SAML mean? Security Authentication Meta Layer.
Whatever. From that, what I know, it's a
kind of generic
mechanism,
okay,
and then there are different products setting up, implementing that on top of that. So
yeah, let's see. We have 125, 130 polls came in already.
How many?
140, 50.
Oh, that's a good number.
55. So really a lot of answers. 170 already.
Did you already publish the answers?
No, I wait until 200.
But maybe it gives some dynamic to the poll, so the users which are unhappy with the result may
so
push
I
it
publish it now. And let's see what's going on. So we have the 200 came in, and yeah, the generic SAML, of course, won the race.
Good.
But Azure also has 30% of supporters.
And active SSO with Active Directory. Is it cameras? No.
The third place is something generic, OAuth, OpenID.
Okay, interesting. On the last conference, nearly no one voted for the OpenID support.
Just 1% is for ping identity, which I like personally most, just pinging, and you know who it is.
Okay.
Just
yeah, cool.
Kidding.
That helps us a lot in going in the right direction with the right feeling. Yeah, thanks for your vote.
Sounds good.
And then let's continue with your questions.
Questions. So there's one question about my shirts. I will drop this simply.
The Holzfäller shirt?
It's not about that specific shirt, but the question is a generic integration to SAP Solution Manager third-party plugin system discussed to serve a more generic monitoring for SAP infrastructure instead of the 10-year outdated CCMS connection? So the future of SAP monitoring. Do we have something on the roadmap about that? Something
Yeah, what we've learned after our Python 3 transition is that the SAP I don't know the full name, SAP NV RFC. It's a module which we use for SAP monitoring. It's not supporting Python 3. It's not. It has not been migrated. So I'm sure we will have to come up with a better solution.
Do we have some customers that actually asked about SAP support?
Yeah, sure.
So we have a pipeline of tickets waiting for our developers.
Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers, but that maybe around 5 customers which have actively asked.
So probably there's happening something in the future, but you cannot say any date or something. No. There's a plan for integration and better, or is there a plan for integration and better monitoring of Citrix Xen?
As monitoring Citrix Xen or running on?
It says better monitoring of is, I think, the main point.
Monitoring of. I'm not aware of specific plans about that. There may be development requests, but it's not something I've talked about in the last weeks. Yeah. That's what I can say.
Will it be possible to export from Checkmk to other solutions, for example, Elasticsearch Prometheus, for further analysis of events, notification, logs, etc.?
Yeah. I think we will have in the roadmap talk, or at least in the Slack, we have questions about that. Let's get back later to this. So we will ask, or we already asked in the Slack, which destination systems the users are interested in.
So Prometheus, it's the other direction now that is being asked, not getting data from Prometheus.
Yeah, today I saw that in the Slack, and I already voted on. I mean Greylog. So
you voted?
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't it cheating if we vote ourselves?
I don't know. I wanted to see the results. So
okay. I'm not sure what you're doing sometimes. The graphite carbon connector is very old. It's something I've written myself, I guess.
Which one?
The carbon connector. But we have spoken about that. Okay.
Yeah, that's.
It's. Where's the question? Can we get something that sends text and labels? But I think it was on the roadmap to implement the new API and then send labels, states, and all that stuff
to InfluxDB.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we will do.
The answer is yes, and
what
very
we are
soon.
Currently doing.
Yeah, I mean, the question is from 6 p.m. roughly. So because it already actually has been answered.
Good.
So next question that jumped up currently a couple of votes. What's about an automatic setup also for registration for the bakery during create the host in Checkmk? For example, copy via SCP and install via SSH remote commands. For example, I have a private SSH. So I get the question is you add a host to the monitoring in the setup, and then that should remote connect to the target host, install the agent there. So it's a kind of the opposite of the self-registration of the host. So you
open up the box of Pandora for security issues and so on.
Yeah, that would include the monitoring server would then need to have really hard access to every machines to be able to install software there from remote.
I think
sounds very.
I think the way we tried the way around. With the agent registration and the push agent and so on, we will have mechanisms if you have automated setups of your systems, so that the systems which are set up, for example, VMs or something like that, can register with the Checkmk server, so they can create themselves in the monitoring. So that may be the better approach.
So you save the step of adding the host, but have the step of installing the agent. So one of these two obviously you need.
I think it's.
I would say it's very, very insecure because
And you
it's
can
sufficient that you get a backup of the monitoring server and you have root access to all your machines.
Yeah, even if you provide in the moment you want to deploy the agent, even if you only provide your credentials in this situation, you would have to provide a password or your SSH key and so on. I don't think it's good to do this.
So next question: do automatic agent updates work in distributed monitoring setups? Of course.
Distributed agent bakery.
This feature was added in 2.0 and 1.6.
Yeah.
2.0. So it's kind of newish.
Yeah, but it worked before, but all agents were contacting the central system. And what we changed with the 2.0 is that you have the option to make your agents contact the Checkmk servers of the remote sites.
Yes.
And the Checkmk server of the remote site will then act as a proxy between the agent and the central server. We still need the communication to the central server because this server holds the update states, the information, and also has the agents.
But the actual transport of the agents is done from the remote server, and so you save lots of network traffic.
And it's not only an application proxy; it's also doing some caching. So if you have worldwide networks and you have different areas where you want to deploy your agents to, then it's optimizing this now. And
we have some very big customers with, I think, probably 600 sites around the world, and it works really performant now. Any concepts concerning Checkmk hardware-software inventory combination, both sides to I1T Asset Manager? Whatever that is, but
I didn't understand that.
I1T Asset Manager. I've not heard about it, but at least 8 people know what it is because we have 7 votes of the question.
Yeah, I think from a product point of view, we haven't thought about that.
Maybe this pops up more and more in the future. So currently we have no knowledge about that, but might change. Is there a plan to improve the Checkmk exchange, like seeing available updates to plugins in your Checkmk instance site?
Oh, that would be cool. Some
kind
kind
of integration of the exchange. We already have spoken about that a couple of years ago, I remember, so that you would have access from your Checkmk server to the exchange, which would make it even like an app store, where you could download the packages. Does the Checkmk exchange already have an API? Where you could query the available packages?
Maybe in the background, but I'm not aware of the internals of the exchange.
So I like this idea very much.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Would make point and click for installing some updates. With the appliance, with the appliance user interface, will the appliance user interface also get an API in the future? The appliance, remote management of the appliance, mass management of the appliance.
Yeah, that's a question which pops up from time to time.
Especially the virtual appliance also would benefit from that.
Yeah, it's some kind of product strategic question because at the beginning the appliance was meant for a specific use case where you work as an administrator purely web-based, and you don't have to care about managing the Linux system and so on. And
I know of customers that have 30 or 40 or more of these appliances, and they want to make, for example, Checkmk update on all of these.
Sure. So and even appliance updates and so on.
The other solution would be not to provide an API, but a management system where you could manage these appliances.
Maybe. But that's about priorities.
Yes. Okay, so we have just 1 minute left now because we need 5 minutes for restructuring.
Now give me the fourth question, please.
The fourth question. Do you also plan an integration for Dynatrace?
Dynatrace.
Why the fourth question?
I don't know.
Just out of fun, okay.
My random number generator popped that out.
Yeah, but it has only 5 votes, and the first one has 15 votes.
I don't know. We are currently not planning that, but it's also widely used like Datadog, so it could absolutely make sense. But again, here we would need to know about the kind of situation you face. Do you want to have some import or export integration? Which data are you interested in, and so on? So you can build a lot of integrations, but we don't know what's really interesting.
And we have now 17 votes on the Splunk integration. That's, I think.
Yeah, we all also. I think the question in the Slack, I mean, or in the talk later, is about that. So yeah, it's also one of the top popular systems which we receive questions about.
Yeah, so there will be some movement in the future, I guess. So we have lots of questions, but we need to close this talk because 5 minutes from now the next talk starts, which is about Kubernetes with Martin. So take the time for a short break, take some coffee, beer, whatever. Let's see you in 5 minutes.
All right, bye.